Eoin Kelly, you were involved at Tipp this year, the All-Ireland. How pleasing was it?
That was great, Shane. Look, I suppose at the start of the season, not too many Tipp supporters thought that Tipp would be back in an All-Ireland final and let alone win it. But I suppose when Liam Sheedy came in, people's views probably changed, and I suppose we saw that in the Munster Championship. The Munster final didn't go according to plan, and then I suppose Laois, and then the heroic performance from the team in the last 15 minutes against Wexford really probably instilled that belief and confidence into the team that, look, if anything is thrown at us in Tipperary this year, that we're going to conquer it. And the final then, and we all know what happened in that, but great setup to be involved in, and joining a year Tipperary winning All Ireland, it's great success, because pressure is always on Tip every year to win All Ireland, and as we've seen over the last maybe 10, 15, 20 years, it's a hard ask.
You were Liam's captain back in 2010. How did the conversation come about that you came in, and it was free-taking roles, so you were helping out with the free-takers, was it?
That was it, yeah. I suppose, look, Liam is the type of manager that leaves no stone unturned, and I suppose free-taking is probably a key thing now. The way the game has moved on, and so much tackling going in.
Well, it had been an issue too, because Jason and Shane
I suppose,
decided.
Yeah, they hadn't decided. In Tip, I suppose you have 2 or 3 free takers, so it was a case of, like, you're getting maybe 10 or 11, 12 frees a game. So they are becoming more important, we'll say. And now if a free taker misses one from 100 yards or 110 yards, it's questioned what happened to him. Whereas before, you'd see old videos maybe where they'd be missing frees from 30, 40 yards, and it was just puck it out and on you go, like. So, but it's just Liam's management. I suppose he leaves no stone unturned, and he was going to cover every aspect, every angle. And I suppose free taking and goalkeeping coach, and Darren Gleeson came in as well later on. So, I suppose in the modern game, the goalkeeper and a free taker probably handle the ball a lot more than a lot of other players on the team. So, just leaving no stone unturned, and I suppose he was proven right as the year developed.
So can I just ask how your role kind of impacted it? Like, first of all, how did you settle on Jason and be the free taker, and then did you work with them mentally in terms of their style, how they strike the ball, or what were you doing?
Yeah, well, I suppose I came in late, like, so you're not going to interfere too much, because look, I think Tipperary have 3 or 4 top class free takers anyway, so it's just passing on your experiences, and I think the thing with free taking is confidence. And even if you see in other sports, rugby kickers, soccer players and that, the big thing is probably, dominating the shot is the thing, I suppose, that you just stand over it and strike it cleanly. And 9 times out of 10, if you get the lift right, strike it cleanly, it'll go where you want it to go, And I think the frees that are missed by a lot of players, I suppose in football and hurling, they tell you maybe mishitting it is the free that goes astray, or when you fail to rise it properly. So it's just technique, and every guy then has their process, and just they'll follow that. And I suppose you hear that word being used a lot, process, like it's a common word now in GA and in all sports, and that's basically what it is. But you're just passing on your experience.
Was it a mental thing, or were you actually saying to the likes of Jason or Shames, look, I think you need to do something slightly different with your setup?
Yeah, I suppose both Seamus and Jason, Noel McGrath, even Brendan Maher, they all have different styles, like, so if it works for them, you leave them alone, that's their style. But it's just to tweak it just a little small bit, we'll say, like, just maybe it might be the rise, it might be the strike, it might be just maybe leaving on the hurley for that extra second, just little small things. But I think in Tipperary, you're blessed with a good few free takers. You can throw bubbles into that equation too, and often seen Brian Hogan slamming home penalties in the Fitzgibbon for UCD last year and that. So I think we're in a good place when it comes to things like that. But I thought, as the year turned out, Jason was exceptional on the frees.
And what was the mood like in the dressing room before that final and then the final whistle?
It was cool. It was cool and calm. You see, if you look at the experienced players on that team, that was their 7th All-Ireland final. And I suppose for Liam Sheedy to come back in as manager, he knew if he got to that stage that it would just flow. Now they haven't won all the finals, but at the moment they have 50% of them, 3 wins, a draw and 3 losses. But you can't beat that experience of being there. Now Kilkenny obviously have that experience too, but the dressing room was cool. It was composed, and I suppose the big word in the GA world is performance. That's all they were interested in. Worried about themselves, and they got that right on the day.
And for you in the final whistle, how much satisfaction was there?
Yeah, sure. Look, it's different. I suppose it's not as you're not as emotionally high as a player, obviously, because nothing beats playing. But there was definitely a satisfaction, because you see little things happening when you're involved, little tweaks here and there. We'll say about positions, players. different structures maybe and that. So to see it all happening, and I suppose in the All-Ireland final with maybe 8 or 9 minutes to go, you could say that Tip were well on top and they weren't going to lose the game. They were really in their flow. So you could enjoy the last 10 minutes of it, but definitely it was a different experience and an experience that I enjoyed. And to see it from the other side it was new to me, and something you'd love to experience again.
And do you think the future must be very bright for Tip now, under 20 All Ireland as well, after the under 21 the year before?
Yeah, that was the encouraging thing the week after in the Gaelic grounds in Limerick. Tip were awesome in the under 20 final, and some of the players playing were exceptional. So that's the thing. But I suppose we've been here before. In 2010, winning the under 21. The week later, so you don't know how it's going to pan out. I suppose the one difference will be, we hope Liam Sheedy stays on as manager.
Do you think he will?
I hope so. I think he will. I really hope so. You'd love to have him at the helm for a good few seasons. We know all about in 2010 when he left, and I suppose he left in 2010. So he, would have been lovely to see how he would have handled 11-12 with the new players, with the under-21 players that won the All-Ireland back then. But look, that's in the past. It's 2019, 2020 now you're looking forward to. So he'll have a right crop of players to deal with, and like any young fella, 19, 20 years of age, when you see the senior team winning, that's where you want to be. And it's as professional a setup as any GA inter-county setup in the country, so it's where anyone would want to be.
As a Tipperary person, all I've heard ever since is talk of one in a row and that Tip aren't able to deal with it mentally, go off the rails, all that kind of stuff. Is that the kind of thing that Liam will maybe put to the players? Let's ram this down people's throats.
I don't think he will like that. It's going to be. It's a very, very competitive championship. You've 8 games. Tipperary won 7. They won the right games. I suppose would have loved to win a Munster final. You just set out your goals. So I suppose the league final will be a priority for Tip as well. It always is. I've never been in the Tip dressing room when the league hasn't been taken seriously. So however that goes, you move on, and then your big thing is qualifying out of Munster, your top 3. And no matter what lads say, All Ireland's, you cannot underestimate qualification. And we've seen how hard that can be, but Tip this year hit the ground running, win their first 2 games, and definitely win their first game in Cork. In Parky, we've really set them up. And Waterford are going to come bounce back into it, I'd expect. They'll have to get their house in order with the manager. And you have 2 home games, 2 away games. It's hard to win away in Tip, or it's hard to win away in the Munster Championship. Tip done it this year, but that is it. And if you don't qualify from that, you have a long season. You could be finished in June like you were in 2018, and that's where you don't want to be.
How was your own hurling going this year? I'm nearly sure at one stage I heard you got man of the match in some game from Mullinahone.
Probably a junior match, I'd say, Shane.
Was it?
No, look, we're in the South final on Sunday against Carrick Swan, so we're in the South Minor A hurling final as well, which is good, and we competing in the Junior A Championship, beating in the South semi-final. So, we're just being realistic. I suppose we're in the Seamus Marine Championship, and if we could win a South final, I think it'd be a great season for us, and try and push on in the Seamus Marine, get to the latter stages. But I suppose we were in the top tier maybe of the club hurling for a good few years, and we probably drop back a small bit now, and there's younger players coming through, and I suppose myself, Paul Curran, Paul Kelly is still playing, so there's a few of the golden oldies still hanging around. But you're just trying to again pass on your experiences, just try and help out the younger fellas, because we have a team in the South Minor A final, which is a big thing for us in Mullinahone. So if you can bring through a couple of players, hopefully we can stay a senior for the next few years, and to win a divisional title. I suppose you see it with Kilruane last year, and they're a club that has won county finals and club All-Irelands and that, but to win a divisional title for us would be massive. So look, I'm still enjoying it. As I said to you earlier on when we were chatting, playing is the buzz of playing is way different than obviously being on the sidelines. But when you can't beat it, and I suppose that's the thing, you're still trying to enjoy the odd few days it goes right for you, and if it doesn't, then you just have to move on and back home to the kids.
And is that why, lad, even a couple of years ago when you did your cruciate, I suppose you were maybe 35 then, that you probably had to work incredibly hard to get back just to have the buzz of still hurling?
That was it, I suppose. I worked hard, not overly hard, I suppose, family situation and that at home with kids and that.
Have you a few hurlers coming, by the way?
Yeah, I have two boys and a girl, yeah, so I don't know they're hurlers now, but they're doing a fair job in the kitchen at home. But it's probably just back playing with the lads and enjoying the dressing room, and you know, having a bit of fun in the dressing room and that as well. You probably missed that as well, you know. So I got back playing a bit of Junior B that year, and we won the South Junior B title. Thurles Arsenal beat us in the county semi-final, and then played senior last year and beaten in the South final. So back in the South final this year, I was going down training and playing with the lads and trying to keep fit, like, do you know what I mean?
And just then about the Tip County Championship this year, who do you think's most likely to win that?
Yeah, looking at it the last couple of weeks now, Kilruan obviously are going well. Killadangan, Bursley, I think, are staying nice and quiet. You're well good at doing it. Bursley, and if Lockmore don't pick up injuries, I think they could be thereabouts as well. Do you know? But you know what? I think it's going to be you're going to have your top 6 or 7 teams are going to be in the quarterfinals. You know, so it's going to be an interesting championship, and maybe the team that wins the Danbury this year might even get to a Munster Club final. I think they have a home draw against the Cork champions, is it?
It's been a long time since the Tip team won the...
Yeah, it has, yeah, but they've been unlucky with away draws, like, and in that club championship, a home draw means a lot, you know, so, like, I think that could even be an added incentive for some of the teams, but I'm looking forward to it now. But I suppose I'd probably give Bursley a chance now. I know you won't like me saying that, but
Kelly writes off Bursley.
Yeah,
that's
no,
what I'm hearing.
definitely not. No, I'd give them a chance, and say maybe it might be going up north Tipperary for the first time since 2008, is it?
I think it's something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
One final question then. I meant to ask you about Eamon O'Shea. What was his influence like this year, and how involved was he?
Yeah, sure, look, we would have known Eamon from 08 to 10, and then from, was it 13 to 15?
Yeah.
So, like, Eamon is massive, you know what I mean? He's coaching philosophy and just his whole way, like, you know what I mean? He's very popular with the lads, and, you know, like, once Eamon commits to something, he commits, and when he committed this season, I'd say it was a massive boost for Liam and for the squad, and, you know, for even Tip supporters, like, to hear that he was involved. And you know, Eamon, I think, just loves to see players playing at their best, and players, you know, he's able to get the best out of players, like, along with Liam Sheedy, will say it's probably the ideal management team, you know what I mean, Tommy Dunn and Derek, and so it's just I think he likes to see, when he knows a guy has potential in him, I think the big thing Eamon likes to see is that chap getting it out of himself, and I think he just has the secret to do that. And I suppose his coaching philosophy then is, you know, it's just hurling, moving the ball fast, and I think you've seen that the way Tipperary finish up in the season, just attacking, I suppose, going for scores, and ultimately if you put more scores on the board, you'll win. And I suppose that would be Eamon's, that's the way he thinks, and, you know, he brings a bit of excitement to Tipperary hurling as well.
And of course he's involved in Kilruan, so that's why I give them the nod. Thanks very much, Owen.
Okay, Shane.
Appreciate it.